Okay, example 8a, I again have a product. So I have product to sum. This is a cosine times a cosine. So I'm going to use this identity right here. So I've got a 3 that's hanging out front, but then I'll have a 1/2, and then I'll have the cosine of 37.5 minus 187.5 plus the cosine of 37.5 plus 187.5. All right. I can take that 3 times that 1/2 out front. So I just have one number out front. And I have the cosine of 37.5 minus 187.5 is a negative 150. And then 37.5 plus 187.5 is 225. So the cosine of negative 150, this puts us in quadrant 3 with a 30-degree reference angle. So it's a negative square root of 3 over 2. And then cosine of 225, that also puts us in quadrant 3. And so it's a negative square root of 2 over 2. And then I have to distribute that 3 halves. So I get a negative 3 square root of 3 over 4 plus a negative 3 square root of 2 over 4. And in the back of the book, it's probably a negative 3 square roots of 3 minus 3 square roots of 2 over 4. But of course, that's entirely acceptable. So now they throw this one at us. This is no longer a product, okay? And so we go from product to sums. There's also sum to a product, okay? So that's the identity we're gonna have to use for this one. Sine plus sine, sine minus sine, cosine plus cosine, and cosine minus cosine, okay? So these are all gonna be the same. I have cosine minus cosine, so I'm going to use this identity. So I've got a negative 2, and then this becomes a sine. And what I'm doing here is finding their average. So I take 7 pi 12ths plus pi 12ths divided by 2. And then I'm taking their difference divided by 2. 7 pi 12ths minus pi 12ths divided by 2. So 7 pi 12ths and pi 12ths is 8 pi 12ths. Divided by 2 is 4 pi 12ths, which is pi thirds. And 7 pi 12ths minus pi 12ths is 6 pi 12ths. Divided by 2 is pi fourths. All right. Sine of pi thirds is square root of 3 over 2. Sine of pi fourths is square root of 2 over 2. Multiply all of that, and I get the square root of 6, negative square root of 6 over 2. One of those 2's cancels, and then 3 times 2 is 6.